facing unemployment as the Pixel paper mill prepares to close its doors.
Plus,
once it hit 4:30, it was just too late.
Authorities in Texas are in hot water as calls grow for answers over severe delays in flood response. This as President Donald Trump arrives in the state to survey the flood damage.
And
we must stop Russian drones and missiles.
The president is sending more weapons to Ukraine amid his growing frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin over a lack of progress in peace talks. Newswatch starts right now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joshua Herner.
And I'm Charlie Ehlenfeld. Welcome to Newswatch. It's been another bright and sunny day here in Athens.
For a look at what's in store this weekend, let's turn it over to forecaster Steve Nedlick with the latest. Steve?
Yeah, guys, it's been a beautiful day so far today. We're sitting at about 90 degrees in Athens right now, and we're looking at pretty much the same temperature all over southern Ohio. We're in the mid to upper 80s everywhere, and in Athens, we're in 90s. Now, if we take a look at the radar, just because it's so hot, we could have a few pop-up showers, but for the most part, we're going to stay pretty dry heading into the rest of this weekend. But if we look at tonight, much of the same. A lack of clouds is going to really allow us to kind of release a lot of that heat we got throughout the day today. So we're going to have a pretty wonderful night. If you have any plans tonight, it's going to be a pretty pleasant night. As we look into the rest of the weekend, the rain stays away for the most part, aside from those passing few showers. And then we will have some clouds move in just because of all that humidity and that heat. And then we're just going to be looking at a lot of heat and humidity through today and into the rest of the weekend. So it'll just kind of be looking at those field-like temperatures. The humidity is going to be there. So make sure if you're out and about this weekend to drink some water. We'll stay tuned for the rest of my forecast.
Thank you, Steve. Hundreds of workers are facing unemployment ahead of the Chillicothe paper mill's closure. The plant is set to close August 10th. Back in April, Senator Bernie Moreno announced the mill would stay open through December. But Pixel Specialty Solutions, the mill's owner, backtracked on that, telling workers in June the plant would close in August. Some machines have already stopped production. Unless the mill gets a new buyer, more than 700 people will be out of work. As of Wednesday, several interested parties put bids out with Pixel. Governor Mike DeWine announces his property tax relief working group amid growing calls for tax cuts. DeWine struck several proposals from the state budget that would have lowered property taxes because they would force public schools and local governments to make major cuts. Instead, the working group will make recommendations on how to bring meaningful property tax relief to homeowners and businesses without cutting funding to local agencies and schools. The group will release their report by September 30th.
A Hamilton County court judge blocks the state from stopping nurse practitioners from prescribing abortion drugs. The judge said the restrictions violated the Reproductive Rights Amendment voters passed back in 2023. Abortion rights advocates say the ruling protects patients seeking care, but opponents say the amendment is giving clinicians the authority to prescribe abortion medications, and that's an overreach of government power. And the Ohio Supreme Court will have the final say on the issue. Ohio claims a top spot in the top 5 best states to do business. The listing comes from CNBC's annual ranking, and Ohio scored an A+ in infrastructure in the cost of doing business. In a statement, Secretary of State Frank LaRose praised the state's score. So far in the year, there were nearly 100,000 new business filings in Ohio. 16,000 of those were in May alone.
The president's criticism of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell appears to be at a boiling point. He wants the Fed to cut rates immediately, but Powell says that could spike inflation. Powell says it makes decisions based on data, not politics. Amy Kiley has more.
Clearly, they're trying to make the case, and I actually think it makes sense.
A White House official denies a new letter seeks to lay the groundwork for ousting Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Many analysts disagree.
I think there's a compelling policy to do that. Whether or not they can legally do it before next year remains to be seen.
The letter from the White House Office of Management and Budget is about the planned renovation of the Fed headquarters. It alleges Powell failed to comply with government oversight regulations and lied to Congress about what the work entails.
There's no VPI dining room. There's no new marble. We took down the old marble. We're putting it back up.
It's no secret. President Donald Trump wants Powell out.
He should resign immediately. We should get somebody in there that's going to lower interest rates.
But he probably can't fire Powell for that reason. Supreme Court rulings forbid it. And analysts say the stock market could tank. They say Trump would need to find some other cause or convince Powell to quit.
He is going to make his life as miserable as possible.
Powell says the board probably would have cut interest rates if Trump hadn't imposed sweeping tariffs. Most economists say they're inflationary, but the president argues tariffs are good for the country. He has more planned to start August 1st.
If we keep piling tariffs on, then we're going to have to keep waiting.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
More than 1,300 people at the State Department are losing their jobs amid a dramatic overhaul of the agency. This comes after the Supreme Court recently cleared the way for mass firings and reorganizations across the federal government. Back in May, the State Department told Congress it planned to reduce its domestic workforce by about 1,800 people. The firings will include members of the Civil and Foreign Service who worked in offices that are now being eliminated or rehauled. In all, about 3,000 workers will be leaving, taking into account voluntary departures.
President Donald Trump is in Texas today as recovery efforts continue after last week's deadly floods. More than 120 people are dead and 160 people are still missing.
His visit comes amid serious concerns over flood preparedness and a lack of immediate alerts. Maribel Gonzalez is in Kerrville, Texas, covering the tough questions being asked to officials.
Among the sorrow and grief, pops of color in Kerrville, Texas, as hundreds of flowers mixed with photos of loved ones are placed on a memorial wall to honor the lives lost in the catastrophic floods.
They're not numbers. You know, they're little girls and men and mothers and fathers.
The horror of what happened a week ago hanging on survivors.
All of a sudden the door snapped in half and the water came rushing in. So then we were like, okay, we need to get out of here.
Nancy Clement was a counselor at Camp Mystic, which was ravaged by floods when the Guadalupe River burst its banks. 27 campers and counselors died. More than 100 people have lost their lives and at least 160 are still missing. As these communities grapple with grief, a recently released dispatch audio recording reveals emergency responders urgently requested alerts for residents as the waters rose.
Is there any way we can send a code red out to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home?
10-4 standby. We have to get that approved with our supervisor.
That call happened at 4:22 a.m. It would be another 6 hours before some would receive the requested alert.
A quick action could have helped people downriver, but at 3:30, once it hit 4:30, it was just too late.
Friday, President Donald Trump touching down in Texas to tour the devastation. He spoke about the tragedy before departing the White House.
You'd think a dam would have to break to have it, so it's a terrible thing.
In Kerrville, Texas, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
In the aftermath of devastating floods in Texas, Ohio is reviewing its own emergency response procedures.
The Ohio Emergency Management Agency lists flooding as a top hazard in their hazard mitigation plan. While county EMAs have different emergency plans to meet their specific needs, the Ohio EMA says there are things you can do to keep you and your loved ones safe in an emergency situation.
The state recommends knowing where to get updated and accurate alerts, know where you can find shelter, and having an evacuation plan in place. Officials also say you should have an emergency kit ready to go with necessary medications and supplies for your household.
Even with an emergency plan in place, it's hard to prepare for natural disasters.
But experts say there are things you can do to make the recovery process easier. Officials say it's important to know the specific natural disasters common to your area.
And after a disaster, communication with lenders and creditors remains key.
Calling your creditors right away, letting them know you've been in a disaster, that lets them give you some grace, give you some flexibility in payments.
Experts also recommend being aware of scammers looking to take advantage of disasters. President Donald Trump announces a new deal to send weapons to Ukraine under the NATO alliance. In an interview, Trump added that NATO will fully pay for the weapons, and Trump hinted at the idea of sending another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine earlier in the week, after Ukraine had previously asked for more support. The president also says he is disappointed in Russia and will make a major statement on Monday. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky announced the new deal in Rome yesterday.
We must stop Russian drones and missiles. And this means more air defense supplies and more investments in interceptor drones, air defense systems, and of course missiles. When Russia increases its attacks, we cannot have a shortage of funding for drone production.
Zelensky's comments come after a second consecutive night of Russian attacks on Ukraine.
Coming up, Crooksville lands its third football coach in as many years. The latest on the new head coach and his take on the team.
We're having a beautiful start to our weekend, but we do have some rain building to our west. Find out when that gets here next.
Coming up, I'm Talia Milwich reporting live on Court Street as Brew Week kicks off with a bang. Stick around to hear about the events of the week.
It is smelling good out there.
It's time to set that table. Hope y'all ready. All right, get you a piece of that. How is it?
Oh my God, it's delicious.
This is heaven.
This week, we're bringing in one more judge. Please welcome Al Rokers.
I am so looking forward to taste these dishes.
I'm going to compose myself so I can cook.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Meet the chef who gave us authentic food, Marcella Hazan.
Italian cooking is very simple, but it's not easy.
Marcella introduced balsamic vinegar to us.
She taught us what food should taste like.
I like that.
Delight in Marcella Hazan's delicious recipes.
Chicken with 2 lemons.
And her life story.
I never cooked in my life until I married.
When Marcella comes to American Masters.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
This is the moment that you've been waiting for.
On your marks, get set, go!
Discover extraordinary lost worlds.
I know scientists that would give their right arm for this.
This is heaven. Hope y'all ready.
There's nothing more American than PBS. It's a safe place where kids learn and grow, and where grown-ups are informed, entertained, and inspired. PBS is one of America's greatest resources for 50 years strong, and PBS needs your help to keep going for another 50.
We will have done a great service.
For our future. Visit Protect My Public Media to learn more, because there's nothing more American than PBS.
Ohio's annual Brew Week starts today, with First Call kicking off the week featuring live music until 10 p.m.
Newswatch reporter Talia Milowich is live on Court Street where the festivities are in full swing. Talia, what's it like down there?
Josh and Charlie, Brew Week has officially commenced with part of Court Street shut down for attendees to celebrate the 20th Ohio Brew Week. I'm here with Brew Week director Brandon Thompson. Thanks for joining me. This week is packed with events. What are some of the highlights people should check out?
So right now we've got First Call going on behind us. This will be going on until 10:30. So you're watching this live, you still have time. We've got bands playing till 10:30. Make sure you check out Last Call. That's going to be on Court Street next Saturday. It's the 20th annual. Going to see about 5,000 people. BBQ is really nice. That's down at 4 Depot Street, down by Smiling Skull. We'll have bands playing then. Also, make sure you check out the Scabify Scavenger Hunt. We're giving away prizes. A lot of fun things to do. You can check out a lot of different places. And just new things if you've been coming to Brew Week for years.
And what can people expect from the week as a whole?
One of the best experiences if you love craft brews. So we have over 330 different unique craft brews. So that's ciders, meads, craft beers, some seltzers and whatnot. All 30 of our venues are stocked with 40 different breweries that we're going to bring in from all over Ohio.
Wow. And since this is the 20th year, are there any new events or activities different from previous years?
So we haven't had anything really new. We enhanced First Call this year, but you know the recipe for Ohio Brew Week is perfect. You know, right here, there's 2-block area. There are over 20 different bars, so that we pack as many breweries in that spot. So it's going to be the same thing. It's really good times. It's kind of like a homecoming right now. A lot of people come out and hang out.
Thank you so much. The celebration continues through Saturday, July 19th, closing off with Last Call, the annual Brew Week block party. Beers will be $6 and Court Street will be filled with music once again from 1 till 11 p.m. Beer won't be served on the streets, but you can grab a door cup at participating venues in Uptown Athens to enjoy. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Talia Milwich, live in Athens.
So, Steve, are we going to have good weather for Brew Week this weekend?
We're looking like we're going to have perfect weather for Brew Week this weekend.
Oh, that's great. And is it going to stay nice throughout the week for everybody to enjoy?
We can't get too greedy. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of rain heading into the area on Sunday, but for right now, we're looking perfect across the board with temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s. In Athens, we're at 92, Lancaster 88, and as we head down south even more, we're pretty much uniform across the board. Now, the thing is, these air temperatures might not be feeling too bad, but once we factor in the humidity, that's when we're going to start getting some like pretty humid air, and it's going to be a little overwhelming outside. So make sure if you have any weekend plans like Brew Week, make sure you pack plenty of water with you because it could be a little oppressive outside. Now, if we're looking right here, we have a lot of humidity and hot air in the area. So that's going to allow for some of these pop-up showers to head into the area, but nothing that's going to really set itself up. That's going to be actually out to our west, and that's what we're mainly going to be focusing on as we head through the rest of this weekend, is this line of storms that's kind of just going to stall over our area, and that's mainly just because of this cold front that is slowly going to set itself up. If we take a peek at tomorrow morning, it's sitting in Indianapolis, or near the Indianapolis area, and it's going to slowly make its way here over the next few days. But even when we get to tomorrow night, it's still not here, so that's going to give us a pretty wonderful Saturday. And then once we get to Sunday morning is when we start to see a few sprinkles of showers head into our region. But when it really becomes widespread is about Sunday night, and it's not going to be any severe weather, mostly just because that cold air is not going to be able to be lifted too well. So we're going to be in the clear in terms of thunderstorms, but we do have some rain possible, especially Sunday. For tonight, again, pretty picture perfect just because we don't have that front coming in until way later in the weekend. So we're not going to have many clouds here either. We're going to have an overnight low of 71 degrees just because those clouds aren't going to be able to act as a blanket. So if you do have some weekend plans, again, like Brew Week, tonight looks perfect for it. Tomorrow, much of the same, 93 degrees, and we're going to be allowed to heat up again because we don't have many clouds in the region, and that is what's going to allow for that 20% chance of storms. That's just going to be cooking up with all that heat and humidity. That's where we're going to get these spotty showers, kind of like we've gotten the earlier in the week, but we're not going to really have that chance for flooding like we did earlier in the week just because all this sunshine has really dried out our soil. But then taking a look at the 7-day, this is just, we got a chance for rain all the way through next Friday, but again, it's not very widespread rain because that front won't get here until Sunday, and it's not going to do much after that. On Monday, we have pretty much the same thing with these pop-up showers being the main thing until Thursday when we have another line of showers head in, but for the most part, we're going to be in the upper 80s and low 90s, so it's going to be a hot week, but it should be pretty nice as long as we can keep those storms away for Brew Week, so we'll stay tuned to make sure those storms don't pop up. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Steve. For a third consecutive year, the Crooksville football program will have a new head coach. As Marcus Pardon-Dudash begins summer practices in his new position, he's looking to install a new culture. Newswatch reporter Andrew Bowlby has more.
For the past 3 seasons, it has been a revolving door at the head coaching position in Crooksville. In 2023, the group was under the direction of Gage Latozo and finished with a 3-7 record. Then, just before the beginning of the 2024 season, Latozo stepped down and Nathan Van Meter stepped in. As the interim, Van Meter directed the Ceramics to 4 victories. This year, the program is set for Marcus Pardon-Dudash to take the reins.
You're perfectly fine. Get your head up. You're fine.
That's 3 coaches in 3 seasons, something that has challenged the program.
I'm going to be here for these kids for a long time. I told them when they hired me, we've had 4 head coaches in 11 years, and I'll do the next 11 myself.
Pardon-Dudash has already begun installing a new culture into the program that he believes will translate into wins down the line.
Right now, our culture is simple. We tell the kids, just do it the ceramic way. The ceramic way is doing everything with relentless effort, intentional focus, and servant leadership. We know, though, once we build relationships and establish culture, wins will come.
For the numerous players who have now had 3 coaches in as many seasons, Pardon-Dudash wanted to make his vision clear to the upperclassmen.
Walking on off the field gets you 4 and 6, gentlemen. So it's getting those juniors and seniors to realize, guys, we're going to do things the right way. We're going to try to make this the best experience for you, and that's the only goal I have.
Along with installing a new culture, Pardon-Dudash wants to bring a fun and exciting offense.
That's a great catch, Bubba. Good route.
During the 2022 and 2023 seasons, Pardon-Dudash led Fairfield Christian Academy to 17 wins while scoring nearly 34 points per game.
But we get these kids to buy in, not to the plays, to themselves first, to each other next, and then they're buying into us, and they know, all right, guys, if it's 4th down, you want to throw let's throw it. I believe in you that we'll get it done. If we don't get it done, okay, let's play defense, go get it back.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Andrew Bowlby in Crooksville.
Next, with longer days and warmer weather, summer seems like the perfect time to get outside and exercise, but high heat can make exercising dangerous.
We'll be back after the break, but in the meantime, follow us on Instagram and X to stay up to date on the latest news in Southeast Ohio.
The Ohio Art Corridor is a destination experience. We would like this to be the largest outdoor art gallery in the world.
Portsmouth was able to field an incredible team for a brief moment in the sun that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship.
We got land granted to us in Ohio. Great opportunity. Let's go. How would you know you got here? It was just sheer determination and patience and just hard, back-breaking work.
The bridge was acclaimed at the time of being an engineering marvel.
Progress is all about taking the lessons of the past and doing better. So I would hope that now that we know better, we will do better.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
Undocumented immigrants will no longer have access to Head Start or the Community Health Center program. Head Start provides education and health care assistance to children. Community Health Center supplies basic health and dental services to anyone. Health and Human Services Director Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced the change Thursday. The move could impact up to 10 million people per year. Despite the changes, federal law still requires hospitals to treat any patient suffering a medical emergency, regardless of immigration status.
New research suggests children that exercise lower their risk of dying early. Scientists found exercises that raise a person's heart and breathing rates could reduce a person's chance of death by 40%. The study found exercise was even more important than previously thought. Researchers say exercise can help fight heart disease, the #1 killer of people globally. The World Health Organization recommends people have 150 to 300 minutes of exercise per week to get the benefits. As temperatures rise, it can be harder for people to stay active, but experts say exercise is vital for people's mental and physical health year-round. Mandy Gaither has tips on how to exercise safely during the summer heat.
Your body's need for exercise doesn't take a summer break.
I tell my patients, keep active, make sure you're exercising, doing your cardio 30 minutes a day, with cardio aerobic activity, putting in some weight resistance training on top of that during the week.
Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic says that while staying active year-round is important, exercising in the heat can put you in harm's way if you're not careful. He says you have to be mindful of the heat, humidity, and dryness.
Just be intentional and be careful out in the summer months, particularly if you're not used to these summer months or the high humidity or the heat waves that come along.
If your exercise routine takes you outdoors, Bracamonte says to go out when the sun's not as strong, early in the morning or in the evening when it's cooler. And hydration is key. Before exercise, he recommends drinking at least 20 to 30 ounces of water to get the body started in hydration. And during exercise, rehydrating every 15 to 20 minutes to keep the body from depleting itself. And after being active, continue that hydration.
You want your urine to look like clear lemonade. That's a sign of hydration rather than dark apple juice color.
Bracamonte says to also wear appropriate clothing. He recommends loose, light material. And if you do exercise outdoors, find a place that has shade if possible.
Staying cool is really key.
Good 3.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Still ahead, Governor Mike DeWine is joining in and celebrating the Ohio's history with the Man of Steel.
Stay tuned for what's coming up next on WOUB.
For some of us, the struggle never ends.
I know he's not easy to work with, but now I need you to step up.
You're not looking for one killer, but 2.
You don't believe that a death can be transformational.
We're probably dealing with a psychopath.
We have to catch who's behind this.
You should have called me. I did. Yes, you did. I must have ignored it.
You know this is dangerous stuff to be meddling in, don't you?
All mysteries need to be solved.
Pedal to the metal!
This is a serious investigation.
Game changer.
I'm Chief Inspector Maygrave.
Well, well, the great detective.
So I've nicked every villain in this city once and the good ones twice.
He's disappeared off the face of the earth.
What?
Chinese manufacturers attempt a high-stakes expansion in Ethiopia.
The country needs more jobs.
We create almost 20,000 job opportunities.
3 women bet on the promise of industry. But when hope meets reality, they land at a crossroads. Made in Ethiopia on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
A monumental Supreme Court decision.
The showdown over the power of the president.
Potentially cleared the way for even greater presidential power.
The Constitution vests all of the executive power of the federal government in a single person, the president.
Do we have the rule of law or do we have royal decrees? That's what's at stake here.
You're not going to scare us, and we're not going to stop.
Our constitutional structure is definitely stressed.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Governor Mike DeWine joins Tourism Ohio in celebrating Superman's return to the Buckeye State. 2 Cleveland teenagers, Jerry Siegel and Joe Schuster, created the Man of Steel in the early 1930s. DeWine calls the new James Gunn film a proud moment for Ohio and a proud moment for all of us who still believe in the power of imagination. Several landmarks in and around Cleveland make an appearance in the movie, like Headlands Beach, State Park, Public Square, and Progressive Field. The Cincinnati Museum Center, which is the inspiration for DC's Comics Hall of Justice, pops up as well. The movie opened in theaters nationwide today.
I'll tell you what, it's been beautiful all week, but I might have to stay inside and watch this movie this weekend.
Guys, I'm really excited for this movie. All the DC movies have been great lately. You know, Batman's a great series. Superman's been a great series so far. There's so many great DC movies, and it looks like we're going to get another one coming out today.
It definitely seems like it. And what's really funny, I'm from around Headlands Beach State Park, and I know it's going to be a wonderful weekend around here if we can head out to a pool or maybe Dow Lake around here to catch some nice weather. We're going to have that on the way. But if we look at tonight, we're going to have an overnight low of 71 degrees and mostly clear skies. We're not going to have really many clouds, so it'll be a pretty pleasant night if you have any evening plans. Looking at this weekend, we'll have some spotty showers tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, but then you might really be able to catch Superman on Sunday because that's when the widespread rain returns, and that's mostly through the middle of next week before we really get a chance at a break from this severe weather. But on Thursday, the widespread rain does return, so it's looking like a wonderful week to catch some Superman movies.
Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Steve Nedlick, I'm Joshua Herner.
And I'm Charlie Ehlenfeld. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.